Hello there. Happy Wednesday. I'm Beverly Hosford. I have Erin Nitschke here with me, and we're going to talk about places that personal trainers work or can work today. So get some friends that are personal trainers and invite them to the show. We are broadcasting for the NFPT, National Federation of Professional Trainers, where we do all things that we can to support personal trainers on their journey of helping people. How are you today, Erin?
I'm good. Aside from our minor tech issues this morning, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. Yeah, just roll with the tech issues.
Yeah, it is what it is.
So if you're just joining us today, say hello and tell us where you are. I'm in Montana, Erin's in Wyoming, and NFPT's in Indiana. And yeah, we are going to roll forward with our topic today, just sharing ideas about not only like where personal trainers can work, but maybe how to break into that market. Because I would think that just like your clients like variety, they like to mix it up. Sometimes it's fun for a personal trainer to mix up where they work. And because personal trainers are usually contractors or independents or business owners, you can usually have a couple different settings that you work in. And it can get a little crazy to work in multiple settings, but it can be fun. It can be just that spice that you need. I know a lot of personal trainers that work in several different arenas. And I know when I was personal training, I worked in a studio. I would do some in-home with clients. I trained a client in a park. I went on vacation with a couple clients and just really kind of molded it and meshed it all together. But let's start off with some of the more generic places trainers can work. So there's obviously like studios, gyms, like what you would traditionally think of as a place that a trainer can work. There's like but we call them big box gyms. Those are going to be like your LA Fitness, your 24-hour fitness, if those are still out there. I used to work at a Frogs Club 1, and that's going to be where there's like a membership and there's going to be a marketing staff and a cleaning staff, and there's a lot of support in those arenas. But and there's lots of members coming through the door, but you may not make as much money. You may be on an hourly pay or something. And then if you take a step down from that, there's all these hybrid centers now, which are like, I would say you could call them studios, but there's CrossFit gyms, there's private studios, there's places like Orange Theory Fitness and Club Pilates and all these, they're like usually a smaller version of a big box gym, but usually still have some type of compensation set up, in the forefront. And then when you get into those real private studios, a lot of times you're paying rent or you're paying your own fees. And then obviously you could run your own studio. So those are like the more traditional places that trainers can work. Did I miss anything, Erin, or any other thoughts?
No, I think that covers pretty much most of the traditional things that I think most entry-level trainers would think about as places to apply for jobs. They're great places to start, especially with like your big box gyms. They, do have that marketing team. They have a ready-made pool of potential clients for you. And sometimes your liability insurance is covered in those types of places versus having to carry it on your own. But yeah, because you are, a contract worker of sorts with them, you will take a cut in pay in term, because it's kind of like like your rental payment to some of those big box gyms, and every single one works a little bit differently. So it's important to research those, but those are very traditional places that really would be a great stepping stone for anyone wanting to get out into the personal training business. But you're certainly not limited to those environments either.
Yeah, and they can be nice because a lot of them already have the generic equipment set up in them, and even private studios a lot of times have cardio equipment and some of the basic machines that you might need or be familiar with when you're just starting out. Because once you leave the four walls of a gym, so to speak, then things get a little more creative and crafty, and I think that's really great. And so before we move on to the next set of settings, we have plenty of them for you today. Let's just talk about how do you get a job at a place like that, at a big box gym. I mean, I think it's generally, big box gym or even a private studio. Usually I think those types of people, they are a little more traditional. So they want a resume. A cover letter never hurts. The more creative a cover letter, the better too. It doesn't have to be like that uptight type of cover letter, which I still like to use the uptight cover letter personally, but I've seen some people use real creative cover letters these days where they have a couple of, client stories, or they'll have a picture of them and some clients, and just make it real personal for the gym that they're applying to, links to websites, etc. And a lot of these places are going to have an application, but certainly some of the smaller studios may not have as many barriers to entry. You may just go in and meet with the owner, and they might say, great, come on in. Let's see if you can bring some clients into this place.
Yeah, it is very, very different. I think they'll want proof of a certification most of the time. And sometimes they won't ask for that in the initial interview, but will be a condition of employment. So I would make it easy for them. If you've got your personal training certification card from wherever you're certified, NFPT, ACE, ACSM, whatever, have that in a PDF version that you can attach in their online, portal or whatever they use to apply.
Yeah,
make
definitely.
it easy for the employer to be like, oh, look at this person that's really organized, because the way you apply might just speak to how you would work in a fashion with clients and what you can bring to the table. So I think
Absolutely.
It's better to be over prepared than under prepared and wait for them to ask, because employers can verify that you're certified. There are a lot of organizations that they have to, they can go and ask if you are indeed certified, if you're currently certified. So just make it easy for them. And in addition to that, make sure you've got your first aid CPR certification.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely have those laid out. Yeah. And if you're thinking of a private studio on that continuum, then you may or may not need a business tax license and your own insurance. But those are things you can obtain fairly quickly. You can obtain them within a couple of days. And the place that you're applying that wouldn't be something that they wouldn't hire you because you don't have that yet. They would just say, okay, if you're going to work here, you're going to need to get a business tax license. You just go down to the city center, wherever it is in your town, and pay for one. And then you can get insurance online within like an hour if you need to. And some places actually, they don't require you to hold that insurance till you have your first client. So they might have you come in and shadow, or come in and follow other trainers, or just hang out. Like I know the studio I worked at, they had me come in. They're like, just come in, work out, hang out, get to know people. And so because I didn't have a lot of money back then, I didn't buy my insurance until I had my first paying client, because once you buy the insurance, then you're kind of paying that insurance probably until you're not training clients anymore. So it could be. So yeah. I was trying to save every dollar I could, every day I could.
Yeah, no, that's really important. And a lot of the organizations that offer certifications do offer liability insurance. So you don't necessarily have to go to a private insurance company to be able to obtain that insurance. You can simply there's links on the websites about liability coverage, and they do cover quite a bit for a pretty reasonable premium. But nonetheless, I mean, why pay for it if you don't have a clientele? It's very easy to obtain. It really, it's nothing like life insurance or anything like that. It's much simpler.
Yeah. And we've got some great blogs on the NFPT site that can help you with looking at the costs of some of that, and we can throw some of those up in the links in the comments later. So the first arena you can work in is like that general arena that you think of, and maybe you never even heard of a private studio. You could go, but you've probably seen them pop up more and more, and you could just pop into one to see what they look like. From there, we get a little more creative. There are places like working in, first of all, you could work in someone's home, or you can have the client come to your home. You could set up a gym in your garage. You could set up a gym outside if you live in a warmer climate. Just make sure that you have your bases covered with insurance. And, I would definitely spend a little more time on that if you're going to be having people come to your home and work out, because the liability there is a lot higher. And if you're going to someone's home, the same thing. You're going to their home, so you may not have that umbrella gym covering you. And not only, I think of these all as the same, not just homes, but if you go to someone's office, or say you go to someone's apartment complex. A lot of apartment complexes have gyms in them now, or they have a room that just has some mats in it. So you could go and work out with someone there, or in their backyard, or in a park. There's lots of these places that clients want you to meet them where they are. And that can be a great business model where you go to them instead of them coming to you. but certainly you could even make a home in, say, a corporate wellness or in a corporate wellness setting. So corporate wellness is going to be there's going to be a gym inside of an office building that is self-sufficient. And that's going to be similar to applying for like a big box gym, because they're going to have their procedures and policies and everything lined up. Now there's the alternative to corporate wellness, which is finding an office building that doesn't have a gym in it. And then you create the gym. You talk with them about a room. Is there a room we can use? Like, can we use the boardroom to do a workout at lunchtime? And you have to kind of create it yourself. You have to propose it to the CEO or the decision maker. You know, for a while, I actually taught a fitness class at an architecture studio. So it was literally a warehouse where all these architects worked, and we would just move some of the tables out of the way, and they bought some equipment, and I would show up twice a week and do a workout with them at 4 p.m. And we would do some of it inside and some of it outside. So, but you're going to have to be more savvy to like create this picture for them of what it looks like, because they may not, you know, necessarily be envisioning. They may not be envisioning it if they don't have a gym in their space. So that's where you can get kind of creative and be like, hey, this is a great space to work out. So let's make it into a workout space.
Yeah, I think with parks and, you know, like open spaces like that, it might be good to check for regulations. You know, can we do this? It's kind of like other gyms that it's not as simple as just going and meeting your clients, say at like a local YMCA. You want to make sure that you're able to do that, to basically like find out what the rules and regulations are. Because there are some smaller gyms that don't allow that, but also don't offer personal training. So you can't really go there and cabbage their space and charge somebody per hour for your services. Think about that. And then same thing with like parks. You know, do you need a permit? Do you need to notify anybody? It's always good just to check those bases, so that you are protected and you're protecting your client and then the value of your services as well.
Yeah. So yeah, it can be more fun and more creative to work in those spaces, but there is more to account for. And I see April just threw up one of the insurance companies that you can use.
Thanks, April.
So yeah, those spaces are going to be more creative, but they require you to be more creative. You're not going to just show up. You're probably going to have to lug some equipment with you, or you could get the people that you're training to buy some equipment. That's what I did. I got them in some cases, not all of them. In some cases, I said, you know, why don't you guys invest in some equipment? That way, when I'm not here, you can still do the workouts that I'm teaching you. And then that way I didn't have to lug the equipment. They could work out when I wasn't there. And there's a little bit more autonomy around it. So but you're going to have to go through that process. And if you're going to buy equipment or have people buy equipment, it's smart to get an affiliate partnership with Power Systems or Perform Better, because they will give you a percentage of the sales when you're getting people to buy equipment. So that could be a nice win-win for you.
Amazon offers the same thing too. Amazon.
Okay. Yeah. Oh yes. They have the affiliate.
They have the affiliate business.
Like Amazon, you can put up books and all kinds of other resources that when people purchase it, you make a percentage. So that could be a nice way to earn residual income without joining a multi-level marketing company, which can be a little dicey. So
definitely.
There's a lot more possibilities, but realize that, you know, when you work inside of four walls, usually when you leave, your work is kind of done. And when you don't work inside of four walls, usually your work follows you home. And I feel like as a personal trainer, it always kind of follows you around, because you're always marketing, you're always portraying an image. But I just feel like the more structured, the less work on the outside, the less structured, the more work, but hopefully the work is enjoyable. Like I had a lot of fun working in like an art, like changing my setting, changing my environment, you know, made me more creative, working in a client's home, working in a park. So, there are, you know, you have to really love it. It's kind of like hosting people in your house for Airbnb. If you don't like having guests in your house, it's not a good way to earn extra money, because it'll be really painful for you. If you don't like driving, if you don't like, you know, having to like come up with new ideas constantly, it could be kind of tricky. And then you may be better somewhere like Club Pilates or Orange Theory Fitness, for example, where they give you like a workout to do with people and you're with other trainers. I feel like that's the other benefit of working inside of four walls, as I call it, because you see what other trainers are doing. You have colleagues to share with. So if you're kind of more of a loner and you like to do your own thing and you don't want anyone watching you, then awesome. But I know I like to be around other trainers to share information. So that's why it can be nice to have a hybrid, like, work in a gym 20 hours a week and then have like 10 hours outside of the gym.
Right. And I think when you take it outside of a gym, you also make yourself more hireable and marketable, because there are a lot of people that do not want to come to a gym. They don't want the expensive membership. They don't like the perception of intimidation that they feel sometimes. So if you can expand your creativity and cover your bases, you can be more marketable and employable and appealing to a wider variety of clients versus just those that do go to the gym.
Totally. Yeah. So breaking into those settings, you really have to market yourself, network. That's where like going to a Chamber of Commerce networking event can be beneficial, because maybe you'll meet an architect or you'll meet someone like a construction worker or someone that owns a warehouse that you could break into. And so you'd have to go somewhere where those people are hanging out and get to know them. And then when they find out you're a personal trainer, they might say, oh yeah, that's awesome. I don't have time to go to a gym. And you could be like, well, I can bring the gym to you. So you have to be ready to sell yourself and to create that picture for them, or say, hey, why don't I stop by sometime? We could take a look at your space, and you don't even have to try to sell yourself as like a regular session. You could just say, hey, why don't I stop by? I could help you guys set up a gym. I could give you a workout to do, and I come in like once a month and just show you a new workout to do. I don't even need to come all the time. And sometimes you can just set yourself up as a consultant, someone that comes in once a month, there's a lot of creative ways to market yourself when you get into those arenas. And speaking of creativity, I feel like then there's like the holy grail of excitement, like cruise liners or hotels, like working with people who are on vacation. When you work in a cruise liner or hotel, you're going to have different clients all the time. So if you're someone that likes to, meet new people, have different clients, you get tired of the same old, I feel like this is like the ultimate variety working in a hotel. It can be a little frustrating because you maybe don't always get to see the results, or you don't always get to like follow up with these folks, but then you could merge them into online or virtual training, which is another possibility. So I feel like this is like, there's no walls, there's no boxes, there's unlimited potential when you get into like the vacation business and working online, both of those.
Yeah, I think that there's a certain type of trainer that the vacation part appeals to. And if you're somebody that's got a gypsy spirit and loves to travel and loves to meet new people constantly, cruise liners, resorts, there's vacation spots that people are paying high dollar to go to. And one of the amenities that their hotels promote is a fitness center or a personal trainer. Like that's something that can really bank. So if you're somebody that's kind of not tied down and would love to travel all the time, you can easily check those things out. I went to undergrad with a kid that ended up being a cruise liner personal trainer, and he totally fit that bill. Like that was just him, like social butterfly all over the map, always wanted to meet new people. That would drive me nuts. Like I don't want to travel all the time. Oh my gosh, no. But I also have a family too. So there's a difference there. But
yeah, you're right, Erin. You really have to be a certain type of personality. And I'm just throwing up in the comments here. Erin wrote a blog all about virtual training. So I'm putting that up here if you're looking to get online. And I'm also putting up how to start your own personal training business, all those papers that we talked about in the beginning. So if you're looking for that, and once you get on our blog, there's all kinds of resources about making resumes, interviewing, business cards. We've got it all right there. So yeah, I feel like the virtual training, the cruise ships, like you said, Erin, they're for a very specific type of person. It sounds glamorous and it sounds really fun, but I would say for 90% of people, it's not all it's cracked up to be. But if it is all it's cracked up to be for you, then it's a perfect environment. Like you said, someone without a family, someone who, maybe younger, maybe older, maybe someone who's retired and they want to see the world, or they just want to meet new people. That could be a great way to get yourself out there. But how do you break into these environments? I mean, now most cruise ships, I think these days have some type of application process to be a fitness trainer. There may still be some out there that don't, and you could propose yourself. Say you want to teach fitness in like Thailand, at some hotel or spa, you may just need to approach them. A lot of them will do a trade where they trade with you for the work. So again, we have to be really creative here. You have to be willing to put yourself out there. You have to be willing to sell yourself. It's not going to be a matter of sending a resume over and a cover letter. It's going to be a phone call, an in-face meeting, creating this vision for them, especially and online too. Like, I feel like online you have to work extra hard to create that environment for people. And, you've got to be pretty well versed on the internet and being able to demonstrate your exercises. You're going to need camera equipment, microphones. So I feel like this is perfect for the person who's bored, because as Erin and I found out jumping into this Facebook Live world, there's a lot to learn, between tech issues and, what you wear and everything. Just there's a lot to think about. So if you're looking to mix it up, it will give you a challenge for sure.
Yeah, I think, it seems counterintuitive with the virtual personal training and, virtual health coaching and things like that. It does, because on one side, we've got these voices that are like, we spend too much time on technology. That's not untrue by any means. We spend too much time plugged in, but then we've got this other kind of like shifting that paradigm or that mindset and saying, well, if we can't beat it, let's join it. And let's figure out a way to deliver these services to people. And it might be really motivating. I mean, it kind of started with, look at Nintendo Wii. I hope I got Nintendo right. Mark will correct me if I didn't. I'm not a gamer. But yeah, like those types of things, people really got into, streaming videos. And there's a lot of really bad ones on YouTube. Like, just be careful. But there are some really great ones too. And people like the convenience, the accessibility, the randomness of what it can offer. And people often, in a busy world, they don't necessarily have time. Think about in a metropolis kind of area where it would take 45 minutes for someone to drive from here to like 8 blocks away to meet somebody, when they can meet them virtually, get their workouts, get whatever session out of the way, and still have time for lunch. So there's a convenience factor to it that I think is really important. So if you're not really sold on the virtual fitness idea or virtual health coaching, don't write it off yet. There's some great benefits to it. Mm-hmm. And again, expanding your reach. You can go international. I mean, the internet never sleeps, and it's everywhere.
Definitely.
You kind of have to balance the barriers and benefits to determine if that's something that you're going to be good at.
Yeah.
But it's not for every client either. There are clients that will be completely computer web illiterate, and that's okay. Maybe they're not going to use your services, but think about like that outside the box. And I think another area that's kind of outside the box, if you're someone that's interested in learning more about special populations, physical therapy clinics. They will have a fitness center. They have to. It's part of that rehabilitative process. And they'll have a variety of equipment. They'll have isokinetic equipment. They'll have your traditional weight machines and free weights and bands and RX pads and balance bars and all of these types of things available. And it's a really great environment, because oftentimes they will use an exercise physiologist or personal trainer when they've graduated a PT, a physical therapy patient, their actual rehabilitative, whether it was like a 6-week, 8-week, 12-week regimen with discharge notes, and they'll give those to a personal trainer that can take them through, a twice a week or 3 times a week gradual increase in strength, and kind of move them out of that post rehab back to general fitness. Barring any limitations whatever their condition might be. So that's another kind of outside the box that you wouldn't think about, because you think, well, they just hire they just hire physical therapists and occupational therapists. Not true.
I know, not true. Yeah, that's a great idea. And I love what you said about like thinking about the type of client that may or may not want to see you based off of. I feel like that's a good way to start if you're like, I just need something different, but I'm not sure what direction to go, and I don't have a lot of time to be like hopping on cruise ships and trying out all these different things. Just work backwards. Think about the type of person, like Erin said, what's the type of person that's going to be online? It's probably going to be like, a high achiever, someone who's really busy, maybe, moms, especially like busy moms who are stay at home. Like maybe they can't like get in the car and go to the gym. You can't always work out with your toddler either, though, as I'm learning.
No.
And
No.
And then people like are on vacations, it's going to be usually people are on vacations on cruise liners. They usually do have a little extra money. They're more adventurous, probably in spirit, or they're looking to take a break. And then you've got the people that go to the traditional gym. They may be more like routine type of people. They like to have a routine. They like to have that box around them. And then, as you said, Erin, people in physical therapy, you're going to get to see all kinds of interesting conditions. You're going to learn a lot about medicine. If you're working at a hospital, the same type of thing applies. Yep. Whereas if you work like at a community center or rec center or like a college gym, you're going to have, more of the people that are like looking to recreate and have fun and have a good time, as opposed to maybe people who are more serious. If you're in their work setting, they might be a little more serious and they might be a little more focused. So I think working backwards like that, like who do you want to work with? Who do you want to be around? Do you want to be around medical practitioners? Do you want to be around vacationers? Do you want to be around college students? Like, who do you want to spend your day with? Kids, do you want to spend your day with kids? You could probably break into school and do some type of after school sports conditioning program. You could network with coaches. I mean, it's so awesome being in this industry because there's so many options, but I feel like it can be a little bit daunting sometimes too.
It can. I like your point about breaking into schools because, you think about high schools, not every single high school is going to have a strength and conditioning coach.
Yeah.
A lot of that conditioning is going to fall to the head coach, assistant coach, or whatever their coaching administrative structure looks like. That's an area that you could absolutely capitalize on is, being the person that can help them through their, preseason and their in-season and their postseason and their recovery pieces, and really get some practice at periodizing training for athletes in specific sports and at specific points during their season. Yeah. We have a program locally that's Peak Power that's actually partnered with one of our outpatient physical therapy clinics where I actually used to work at one point in time. And it's a great program, but we just don't have a high school strength coach, but we're also a small area.
Yeah. Or you might have a coach that only has time to teach the sport and doesn't have time to do the exercise. So you could even start out as a volunteer and then, helping out and then maybe get some clients from there. So, and that's actually what we're going to talk about next week's episode. We're going to talk about how to get clients. So we'll kind of wrap it up here. I did see a couple interesting comments. One about like a trainer who travels around in a bus and has a mobile service. That's really interesting. Yeah. And let's see, cruise ships. I'm trying to see if there's anything else here. I know a trainer who does lunch break sessions. Most of the employers she works with pay her directly. Yeah, so sometimes the employer will pay you. Sometimes you can work it out so it pays per person. There's a lot of different ways. And if you're thinking of breaking into one of these markets and you want some help or advice, reach out to us. We'd be happy to, help you figure out how to break in and go from there. But yeah, these are all the many options. There is a blog on our site that kind of runs through them. I'll throw that in the comments before we wrap up today. And yeah, next week we're going to talk more about how to get clients. So this week was kind of all about where to start. Trainers can work. And next week we'll kind of get you pumped up and motivated to earn some more business.
Yes.
Well, thanks for joining us today, everyone. If you have any other questions or comments, leave them. And if you found this helpful, please share it. Especially if you know someone who's a trainer or someone who wants to be a trainer, give them this information so that they can break out of the boring, mundane if they're looking to do that.
Yeah, break out of the box, literally.
Break out of the box, yeah. Or maybe get in the box. Maybe, whichever. Sometimes I need a little more box in my life. I need a little more structure.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for joining us.
Yep, see ya.